The hero approach to theme development was Gavin's Achilles heel, his greatest weakness. His crime was gruesome and ruthless, but he seemed to desire to be as much as he desired to be a villain. Among the dozens of friends and acquaintances we interviewed, only one confirmed a possible explanation as to why this theme worked so well for investigators.
He was very protective of the people he cared about. Actually, how we met, I was bad mouthing a couple people, not realizing that he was connected to those people. They had pissed me off, and for whatever reason, I just wanted to talk shit, and he gave me a black eye.
Although Jacob laughed it off, the example he gave supports the theory that Gavin possesses a low anger threshold, meaning he's anger-prone. Some might argue that Gavin's actions display extreme loyalty, whereas others might protest that they served as outlets for his aggression.
When did she tell you about that, and what did she tell you?
That was yesterday.
What's your understanding of what he did to Ellie?
He basically laid next to her naked and started.
And then so you mentioned that kind of set you off, upset you. Obviously, it would upset me too.
This is an empathy statement, something that encourages reciprocity. Establishing reciprocity, in this case emotional reciprocity, in an interrogative setting is a form of persuasion. If the investigator provides a small favor, the suspect may feel a need to return it, thereby lowering resistance. The empathy statement also creates an opportunity for Gavin to elaborate on what he meant when he said he lost it. But the investigator quickly moves on once Gavin responds. Linguistic analysis involves the interpretation of words and phrases in context. So is a transitional expression. The simple linguistic interpretation here is that Gavin wants to move on from this topic of conversation. The investigator intuits this and immediately resumes asking questions along the lines of the hero theme.
And then, so what was the plan going over to Ellie's last night? Was it to pick up her belongings and get her out of that situation?
To pick her up some stuff and get her out of there, yeah.
Okay.
He's held me at gunpoint before.
He what?
He's threatened my life and held me at gunpoint before.
Aaron has over at his house?
And then there was one time he came over banging on my door because he was all mad. I actually called you guys for that because I was like, I didn't want to go out the door, look out the window, or see anything because I didn't know if he had a gun or not. But
how long ago was that you called us?
I think it was a month ago.
And then when was the situation where he pointed a gun at you? Where was that? Where did that happen and how long ago was that?
Gavin describes his interactions with Aaron as being characterized by fear. He claims that Aaron threatened him more than once. Beyond Gavin's reports of Aaron's threatening behavior, Ellen claimed to him that Aaron abused her. The fear response is an evolutionary physiological survival mechanism that's triggered in reaction to perceived impending harm. It's otherwise termed the fight or flight response, which includes the following reactions: fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. We'll discuss the fight or flight response concerning Gavin as the interrogations progress.
So I went over to his house. This was before I knew that he didn't like me or whatever. And I came over and he's like, "What the hell are you doing here?" And then I'm like, "Oh, here to say hi to Ellie. She said that I was to come over." And he's like, "No." So he grabbed a gun and was like, "Get the fuck out of here. I'm giving you 20 seconds."
Did Ellie witness that?
No. I don't know what caused him to not like me anymore.
Okay.
So he was really relaxed. I mean, he was, of course, being like a protective dad. He said, "I'll knock out your care for my daughter." And I was like, "Yeah, I understand."
Does he drink a lot?
So, yes, he is an alcoholic.
If Aaron suffered from alcoholism, Ellen could have been in a considerably unstable environment. Children of individuals who struggle with alcoholism are more likely to develop mental illness. Moreover, and in reference to Ellen's claims, greater consumption of alcohol relates to greater rates of inappropriate, unwanted advances.
So you get this text yesterday, last night, and when you got over there, what time of the morning do you think it is now that you guys arrive?
It was 2:30 in the morning.
2:30 in the morning? Is when you guys get there? Okay.
Gavin must be in his hero mindset, believing that the investigators view his crime as morally justifiable. Once Gavin is primed to be more receptive, open, and honest, the primary investigator dives into information gathering. Note that the second investigator is present to ensure proper execution of Step 9 of the Reed interrogation technique, converting an oral confession into a written confession. A third party witnesses and writes down suspects' confessions.
Where is she at when you first see her?
She's in the window
out of her bedroom window? Okay. And what do you and RJ do at that point?
At that point, RJ was like, okay, I go in the window, RJ waits outside.
He waits outside,
yeah.
And then do the bags start getting passed out the window? How many bags do you think she has ready to go at that point when you get there?
Gavin appears calm and collected, unaffected by his present circumstances. However, as the investigator probes more deeply into the specifics of that night, Gavin crosses his arms tightly over his chest. This is a self-pacifying behavior, a self-hug meant to reduce stress and regulate emotions.
When we got there, she had 4 bags. She had a guitar.
The pellet rifle.
The pellet rifle, yeah. And then she had like a makeup kit and then another thing in it.
So now it's you and Ellie in the bedroom, and you mentioned that Dad heard you. Did Dad hear you guys in there? Or did...
Oh, he got up and then Ellie was like, oh, I'll just go out and go to the bathroom or whatever. Because, I mean, I didn't want this guy to come and start beating the crap out of me.
So how'd the conversation go between Ellie and her dad at that point when she said, went go pee?
And he's like, all right, well, stop scaring me with all the people trying to break in lately. And I was like, wait, what? Because that was the first night we had gone. I mean, we went over there last night, but, I mean, we didn't go for it because her dad's girlfriend was there.
Okay.
Saturday night.
So you went over Saturday night to try to get her out of there.
Yeah. I know I'm in serious trouble, aren't I?
Well, we need to figure out what happened. And, you know, there's a lot of things in play here. But so now you've been there about 20 minutes before Ellie interacts with her dad.
His tone is even, and his responses are level, but when Gavin removes his jacket, we can reasonably assume that he is more stressed than he's letting on. Actions like tugging at a shirt collar or removing clothing, as Gavin does here, may be referred to as ventilating behaviors. When circumstances are heating up, humans may lean on these behaviors to cool down.
And I know this is going to be a little bit difficult to talk about, Gavin, but you got to be 100% honest and truthful with this. What happens next?
So then Ellie got out, and they waited in the car, and then...
Ellie went to the car?
Yeah.
Did she go out the window or the front door?
She went out.
Okay.
As Gavin answers, he rubs his nose. While nose-touching under high-stress circumstances does not necessarily indicate deception, it does indicate heightened stress. It appears that Gavin's feelings of discomfort are building.
And when you said they waited in the car, are you talking about RJ and her? I can tell you that the car was seen on video on a surveillance camera at a neighbor's house, leaving at about 5:50 in the morning. If you're getting into the bedroom at about 2:30, you're talking about 3 hours until you guys leave. Does that sound about right?
Yeah.
Okay. That entire 3-hour time, what's going on inside the bedroom? I mean, what's the purpose of waiting so long?
We were trying to wait for him to fall asleep again, so that we could get out.
Okay.
And then he starts to wake up, and I just acted on instinct, and I don't know what I was doing.
We know that Gavin was aware of what he was doing, but it appears that he displays little to no signs of discomfort or deception in this moment.
And then, I just kept hitting him until he stopped, and I heard, gurgling, and I was like, what's going on?
Next, Gavin does something unexpected.
I know you are, and I know this is difficult. And that's what we're... Let me ask you this, Gavin. Were you upset because of everything that Ellie had told you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I didn't want to kill him.
Right, but why not at 4:30 when you know she has keys, why not just everybody go out the window and leave?
Ellie hates her parents. She doesn't want to go back there again. She wanted him dead, but I didn't want to kill him. And I was like, I'm not going to kill him. She was all like, no, I don't want him around me. I don't want him around my sisters anymore.
Well, that's what we need to figure out here. We need to figure out what your intent was, and it's important to know.
I was trying to protect Ellie.
Okay.
My boss will try it.
So do you think that Ellie could have influenced Gavin?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would never see my nephew acting in that behavior of brutally killing somebody. From my point of view and everybody else, my family, we all agree that Ellie was 100% at fault.
It was not long before Gavin admitted to his role in executing Aaron's murder. As opposed to Ellen,
No? Левый коронный, правый похоронный. Не парика! Упырь! Сдохни, тварь! Гнида! А ты петуха! Сука ты, блядь, и упырь, блядь, гнида, блядь! Вон он, сука! Кепкой!
Resistance, immediately acknowledging that the events that morning had transgressed and that he had solely swung the bat that killed Aaron. Russell would prove even less resistant, uninhibitedly spilling nearly all details involved in the crime. Just as Gavin stated he was doing, Russell insisted that he was protecting Ellen. What we are about to observe is among the most bizarre behavior we have seen in an interrogation up to this point.
Is that a camera right there?
Yep,
I'd rather not have a camera aimed at me.
We can talk to Detective Ford, but I think they're required to. So it's nothing.
Like, I've had a body cam all day. I mean,
Well, yeah, but see, I
My
don't.
friend, we're recorded wherever we go. You know that.
Even the police bathroom?
Seems like it. Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
You have a seat, man. That way I can sit down.
Well, you can sit down.
yeah, well, I'm not allowed to sit unless you're sitting, so that way I can sit.
Russell tries to show dominance and control by stating he doesn't want to be recorded, and then after the officer tells him he can sit down, he replies, "You can sit down." This immediately shows he's trying to display his lack of fear of authority. Of the three who participated in the crime earlier that morning, Russell appears to be the least impacted. While Gavin's behavior evolved from casually polite to distraught, and Ellen's from flat to angry, Russell's is steadily lighthearted and upbeat. His conduct is eccentric, driven by a variety of psychological factors that will break down as his interrogation progresses.
My mom kind of took him under her wing, trying to help him. He mentioned that he's autistic and so he has trouble finding work. And it wasn't too long before that my youngest son was diagnosed with autism. So that was our kind of like our instant connection. He did a lot of family things with us. He spent Easter with us, he's gone to dinners with us. So we're pretty close. I mean, he calls me his sister. He calls my mom home.
Really? That's true, though.
sometimes we bring like drunks here for driving.
Drunks are the worst.
Yeah. Not a big fan of them.
Not a big fan of them. Like, I protect people, like I said.
Roubles persistently claims that he owns a protection business. He unshakingly asserts this, and the police don't at any point question it. When individuals are convinced of something untrue despite all evidence indicating otherwise for an extended period, they're said to hold a delusion. Oftentimes, delusions are bizarre, meaning they're highly improbable or not set in reality. E.g., an individual consistently believes that the neighbor reads minds. Other times, delusions are non-bizarre, involving beliefs that are within the realm of possibility, e.g., consistently believing one is being followed. Russell's protection business could be a delusion. While outside of the norm, it could nonetheless be true, qualifying is non-bizarre. We would require additional information, such as input from friends and those Russell claims to protect, to determine this.
But I try not to resort to violence.
Good.
I always try and talk to the person.
Yeah.
Her father is a drunk
Uh-huh.
compared to what she's told me. And I've
Okay.
only talked to him over the phone probably once or twice.
Uh-huh.
He seemed really not that good of a father.
Really?
Yeah. He,
Her father?
yeah.
Who was her father's name, you know?
All I know him as
I know.
is Aaron. That's all I know. Of course, then again, I know like Aaron Martinez, Aaron, her father, but I don't know his last name. And I know Aaron Novi. So.
Okay.
Russell starts rambling, and the investigator allows him to do this. This is a strategy to keep the accused talking so they feel comfortable, and the more comfortable a person feels, the more likely they are to say something incriminating. This is also a way for the officer to build trust.
I met him when I was living in Medford, working at a place called the Purple Parrot. He was trying to find a job so he could find a place to live because he was homeless. He was very sweet, very clean cut, you know, very nice. He's just a savior. That's all he wanted to do was help people. You know, all his life he was let down. He went from foster home to foster home to foster home. So I would let him come in to get warm. And then one day he didn't even have a coat. And it was like 3 degrees. And I go, where are you going? And he says, well, I'm just going to walk around until McDonald's opens. And I'm like, no, you're going to come home with me so you'll be warm. You know, I felt like, enough was enough. This poor kid needs some help. No one's going to help him.
I think it was like a good 2 years that he was in our lives. Mostly in my mom's life. Like he really did become like a son to her. Anytime he was looking for help or willing to take help, she would help him.
Russell stated previously that he's diagnosed with autism. As a neurodiverse individual, Russell likely struggles with certain aspects of communication. Although he largely displays well-developed social skills, he exhibits circumstantial speech here. The various individuals named Aaron are not directly related to the conversation at hand. We'll continue to observe examples that support this diagnosis, as well as others, throughout the interrogation.
Yeah, I know.
I don't think I've ever met his mother before.
Yeah.
I don't think I've met her before.
You don't want to.
I've never met you, and I don't think I've met
He had
other guy
a
either.
hunting rifle. Yeah.
Is it a nice one, or?
I've never seen it.
Oh, okay.
I've never met
How'd
her.
you know he had one?
She told me.
Oh, okay.
Because he
like
likes to
so.
drink a lot.
Oh, okay.
So, and the other night, the reason why I was helping her was because he went into her room and laid next to her.
I don't like where this is going. Really? She tell you that?
Yeah, and that's why I got her out.
Okay.
So, yeah, we went down to the park. We met up there. I told her just like leave everything.
Yeah.
And just like get the hell out of there. Grab like a
What
bag
park?
of clothes. Union? I think.
He says Union is a question, with his voice trailing upward. These are both indications that he may be lying. He hasn't said prior to this, so it's not a normal pattern of his speech, and answering a question with the inflection of a question shows uncertainty in your answer, either because you're lying or aren't confident in the response being correct.
Yeah, but I've always been kind of a protector of people, so. Okay.
This isn't the first time Russell has claimed to be a protector of people.
He looks out for people, and I think that he takes it a little too far. One of my family members drank a lot, and he wanted to go over and beat him up because he was emotionally abusive to me. I really disagree on what he did, but I think that he had the right intentions. He would always give you a jacket off his back. I mean, he did it in the worst way, but he just cares.
And he also had this grand idea of creating a community for homeless people or just young people that need help, that don't have help. So it's like he was always trying to go out and resource that, like trying to build that up. He still does. He still talks about that. People looked at him like a protector, and he really liked that. It made him feel valued, gave him a sense of purpose, because that was another problem. He didn't really have a sense of purpose. He was just kind of left in the wind.
Unless people piss me off, then they become the, not really target in a bad way.
Yeah.
Just like target as in like someone that needs a firm talking to.
Okay.
Or a slap across the face, depending on the situation.
How much do they pay you for that? Have you been paid yet, or?
Not financially.
No.
Because I can't legally work with the SSI.
Yeah.
Because I can only work under the table jobs.
Yeah.
And
how much SSI do you get?
$7.35 plus a $22 check.
Net a month?
Yeah.
Russell begins giving the officer details of his family and personal life, which is a good indication he's developed trust with him. The investigators enter the room, and the officer asks one of them to step out.
Can I talk to you for just a quick minute? Hey, take care, buddy.
You do.
Likely to brief him on what they discuss that is relevant to the case, to see if he is consistent, and possibly to also let him know a little about his personality. So the investigator knows the best approach and techniques to deploy in getting what he needs from the interrogation.
Before we get too wrapped up in this thing, I just got here to work.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to explain why we're here today for you and just have
I don't even know why I'm here.
Okay, I'm going to have you just sit and listen to what the story is. And
Okay. Yeah, I have nothing to hide. So.
Okay, good. You were very cooperative with this on that last deal.
Except for when the car like drove up onto the sidewalk, I was like a little bit startled.
Yeah, surprised, right?
Yeah. Not too surprised in my line of work. And then they told me to get on the ground, and I was trying to go on the ground.
Okay.
And they actually like helped me onto the ground. Like, they told me to get on the ground, so I'm trying to get on the ground. You don't have to push my ass. Seriously. Seriously? I can do it on my own, damn it.
Take a moment to place yourself in Russell's shoes. This is more than likely not something someone would say to a member of law enforcement in this situation. It's not tactical, let alone remotely helpful. He does this countless times, and it becomes increasingly clear that there are some other disturbing factors at play surrounding his involvement in the crime.
But you seem like a nice guy. The guy that I was talking to seemed like a nice guy, so.
No Sprite?
Perfect.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. Now all I need is a cigarette and I'll be happy. But I doubt we can, though.
You want to get a smoke?
Sure.
Do you have any smoke? I got some in my desk.
Are we allowed to smoke in here?
Yeah, we can go outside and smoke.
Oh, outside.
Can we go outside and have a cigarette real quick?
Sure.
All right, let's go.
Yeah, because I smoke, I talk better when I have a cigarette. Because right now I'm like stressed out and I don't know what's going on.
The investigators give Russell a drink and allow him to go out and have a cigarette. Both things are done to further put him at ease and to gain favor with him. Sometimes it's used as a carrot to get someone to confess, and they will tell the person that they can smoke after they tell them what happened, etc. People being interrogated are sometimes not yet under arrest, so they can leave if they want to, and they certainly cannot be forced to speak. The police try to make them feel less inclined to want to leave by giving them food and drinks and cigarette breaks, and so as not to violate any due process rights. Russell proceeds to tell investigators everything they need to know.
You can sit in that chair over there. Okay. And you bring your food in? I got the. Oh, okay. Let me have your pop bottle. Yeah. All right.
Frank came with it. That's soft.
As has been the case with Russell so far, we have few words to explain what exactly it is that happens next.
These are actually nicer than the hospital ones. Hospital ones are kind of mean.
Over the next few minutes, Russell continues to narrate his experience eating McDonald's French fries, but he also behaves in ways which we really don't know how to describe.
You know what would go good with these? Is a flirty. No.
Part of the Reed interrogation technique discussed earlier involves isolation, or letting suspects sit on their own without much stimulation or social interaction. The goal is to increase suspects' feelings of panic or wanting to escape. It seems that Russell responds differently to attempts at isolation than most others. Between his dramatic displays of odd behavior, he begins to leak disturbing information critical to the case. we begin to receive small doses of the terrifying truth.
It wasn't really self-defense so much as it was defending her. It was, you're listening in on my conversations, aren't you? Camera off. Yeah. I don't care if you're fed or not. I can still twist your little mind. Don't piss me off.
Nothing appears to register for Russell in terms of the gravity of his situation. He's unashamedly confrontational with law enforcement when they're out of sight. He holds delusions of grandeur, specifically related to power. These types of delusions often form when individuals have been in abusive situations in which they were powerless.
And I think that's really why he went to go help, well, what he thought was helping these people that he got wrapped up in.
I mean, literally, for his 21st birthday, he had never had a party. I made him a cake. We had a little party at my daughter's house. He ran around with the kids, so even though he's 21, he was playing with 10-year-olds, and having a great time. I let him to be a little kid because he told me he never got to be a little kid. For kids that are high functioning, they're, very giving, loving. They just want acceptance.
Good ops were nice. Very nice guys. Good. Too. Very understanding. She bought me food last time. And this time. Maybe I should talk to him more often.
Because Russell continues to talk and is making useful and incriminating statements, the investigator will likely let him sit in the room alone, talking for as long as he continues to do so.
No, I ain't no rat.
Russell had numerous encounters with law enforcement leading up to this moment. There are several charges on his record preceding this crime, including sodomy and abuse in the 3rd degree.
I wonder if I can be an undercover agent. Ooh, had a really long one. I understand.
There's evidently no one in the room with Russell, so he's either vocalizing an imagined dialogue or hearing someone who's not there. If the latter is true, this could be an auditory hallucination, meaning that Russell is hearing something non-existent. This, coupled with his delusions, would strongly indicate that he is in a state of psychosis. Individuals commonly reference the word psychotic when they see others acting in an aggressive, unusual, unstable, or other abnormal manner. But the technical definition involves issues with reality testing, distinguishing between what is objectively real and what is objectively not real. Behavioral manifestations may include delusions or hallucinations, and we know that, at a minimum, Russell experiences delusions. We'll later see that Russell previously commented that he suffers from bipolar disorder. Bipolar disorder creates abnormal swings from neutral mood states to periods of abnormally high energy and/or irritability or mania, to periods of abnormally low energy and/or sadness or depression. This mental illness, affecting nearly 2.6% of the United States population, is the country's 6th leading cause of disability, and it tracks that Russell is on that list. Up to this point, we've witnessed particularly strange behavior, but none so strange as what follows.
You do know I know you're listening, right? So listen here. Ellie Fryer is my client, my protectee. I would like to see her. Asking. Being polite. I know you're looking directly at me, aren't you? The information I gave is not worth $6. It's worth a lot more.
Russell behaves as though he's a supervillain. He's so removed from the reality of the situation that it may prove difficult to imagine the events that occurred earlier that day. When he accidentally turns off the recording device, he seems surprised that he can do so and begins playing with it. The gravity of the situation he's in is clouded, but we don't yet know by what. He's visibly happy with this new sense of control he feels by being able to turn the recording device on and off.
Red means you can't hear me. Green, you can. Gavin and Ellie are to be released to me because the sexual assault her father did the morning of the incident, defending a female. Now here's the thing. I know the cops' twisted little pathetic rule game. And actually, sometimes I like to think that I invented the rule book. I'm not exactly bragging, but I use reverse psychology, which makes me be able to...
Russell steeples his hands, which is a gesture to indicate superiority over those you're speaking to.
Make you think it's not Gavin, but in fact, your own kid. By reverse psychology, making you look like the lunatic. We can play it the easy way or the hard way. I'm talking nice. You got two choices. One, put a bullet in my head, or two, for all the evidence that I gave you guys, right there on a silver platter, right there, down to the last detail. Not one thing missing. A whole list, step by step by step. Even a third grader could read how easy that was. For one, Ellie is still technically a minor.
Russell is speaking to the officers in a condescending tone and looking at a non-existent watch. He's under the delusion that because he has confessed every detail of the crime step by step, they owe him something now.
You want to play hardball? I played baseball when I was younger. I wouldn't go there. And I know everything that I'm saying is being recorded, and I'm doing it on purpose. I can easily turn the speaker off and rant, and then you guys will come in thinking I'm a loony because you don't hear me. Here's the thing. I'm not the one with the donut fetish. Give a cop a donut, and he'll want a coffee to go with it. Give a mouse a cookie, and he'll want a glass of milk. Give a moose a muffin, and he'll want something else. But here's my favorite one. What is it when a cop car is towed by a tow truck? Pulled pork.
When the officers don't respond to his threats, Russell begins making police jokes and using police stereotypes. He continues on his narcissistic rant and delusions of having control and dominance in this situation.
So, we can either tell pig jokes all day, or we can have a little chat. I'm very, good at convincing people. And I don't even use hypnosis. I think I just said
Again, Russell speaks to someone who is not there. This is either a hallucination or vocalized internal dialogue.
So, Ellie is to be handed over to me as soon as you guys can get her here. 2, Gavin is released so that when Ellie's kid is born, it can have a father.
Ellen had faked a pregnancy, and there was talk that she used this as a tool to motivate Gavin and Russell to kill Aaron.
When she first got locked up, she was trying to tell everybody she was pregnant. She was not pregnant.
She told you she was pregnant?
I've known for about 2 weeks now.
2 weeks? She told you? Okay. Did you tell Ellie you don't want to kill him?
I told her, like, I don't want to do this. I told her that like, I didn't want to kill him.
So when these kind of things happen, Gavin, there's usually something that clicks and you make a decision on what you're going to do.
The investigator starts establishing premeditation, which is required for a first-degree murder charge.
How long before you hit Dad with the bat has that conversation come up?
She's been talking about it for a long time. I tried to be civil with Aaron and stuff. I was like, should I offer to go and have a cup of coffee and discuss why he has beef with me?
So going back to you guys getting there around 2:30 in the morning, is it possible you got there earlier than 2:30?
I mean, we were at Union at like about 1:30.
And did you guys have to wait around for a little while?
We did. Ellie was like, just wait till he falls asleep and come in.
And where did you grab the bat from? Where did you grab the bat from before you walked into the front room?
No, I wanted to keep the bat for myself.
Okay.
Ironically, the bat that Gavin wanted to keep for himself, the bat that Gavin used to beat Aaron to death, was the bat that Aaron had on hand for protection. At best, Gavin used the murder weapon that was most convenient. At worst, Gavin took pleasure in this irony, claiming an ultimate power by using Aaron's sense of safety and security as a weapon against him, and walking out the door with it. Perhaps Gavin desired the bat for himself as a trophy.
So now you're walking from Ellie's room with the bat, and the plan for you is to walk out the front door.
That's what I mean, Ellie wanted me to kill him, but I didn't want to. I was planning on just walking straight out the front door.
Did you play along with Ellie and say, okay, I'll kill him?
Mm-hmm.
You did?
But then he woke up.
Did you tell Ellie how you were going to kill him?
No.
Did she ever mention, hey, use the bat?
Well, she said that if I wanted to, I could, and I was like, it's not that hard to punch someone in the throat.
Here, Gavin displays an out-of-place, boastful sense of pride over holding violence-related knowledge. This is a strong indicator of aggressive tendencies. Family and numerous friends and acquaintances confirm that Gavin held a history. Another of Gavin's close friends shared the following.
We used to get together and like play football or different things like that with a bunch of guys we knew. And a couple different times he ended up punching somebody, or like I think he broke his nose at one point. And then a couple other times, yeah, sort of unprovoked, kind of fight somebody at our youth group. It was more of just a one or two thing, and then he would walk away. It's not like he was trying to kill somebody at that time, obviously.
An additional past friend described that Gavin displayed unusually aggressive behavior a week preceding the murder.
Yeah. So last time I'd seen him, we were just hanging out, like smoked a little bit, wanted to like wrestle me. Like he's like, I know, he's like, I'm a black belt, like we should fight. He's never really wanted to fight. So I didn't know if maybe he was like trying to get prepared for, like this obviously is like afterthoughts, like, oh, that's weird, like he wasn't very good at it. I don't think he was really a black belt. And it was just like, what?
Caden, who had attended South Medford High School with Gavin, explained that everyone in the school knew that he was scary and seemed dangerous when he shared his friend's experience.
He threatened one of my best friends, where he had actually sent a picture of a revolver to him, making the threat that he was going to, harm him. And then when they took it to the school didn't do anything about it.
We've watched Gavin cry and state repeatedly that he did not want to kill Aaron. We've also heard friends and family share stories depicting that he was quick to rage, often searching for an outlet for his aggression, whether it existed in tackle football, playful wrestling, or defending his friends. It leads us to a question of whether Aaron was another one of Gavin's outlets.
So she hands you the bat in the bedroom and tells you to go take Dad out. Okay, what were her exact words?
She said, go out in the front room, take him out, and text me and let me know when it's done. And to me, I was like, okay, so I guess she wants me to kill him, but I don't want to kill him.
Kick the bin and the dog barks. Where's the dog at?
Sleeping on the couch with him.
How do you know the dog was on the couch with him?
Like, because I was, like, when we were in the house, like, I heard, like, one of the reasons...
He's used the word like periodically throughout the interrogation, but here, Gavin uses it almost back to back. This is a notable deviation from baseline and a strong indicator of general stress, most likely nervousness in the context of the topic.
Before leaving, because we heard him say, Sadie, move, and I was like, oh, okay, because, like, he's probably disturbed a little bit.
Is it possible, Gavin, that you hit him while he was asleep?
I don't think so, no.
Is it possible, though?
It's possible he must have been asleep.
This eliminates any possible self-defense theory his lawyers might have wanted to use at trial.
But I couldn't see anything. It was pitch black.
What made you think you woke up
what the who are you?
But is that after you hit him once or before?
That was before.
Earlier in the interrogation, Gavin had clearly described that Aaron woke up and, in turn, Gavin acted on instinct. He is beginning to contradict himself, but it's not long before we hear the full truth.
Is it possible that he might not have said that and you just hit him while he was asleep?
I don't remember.
Are you 100% sure he said, "Who's that"? Or could you just be telling me that, thinking that, trying to minimize this, making it look a little better? Because
I just hit him while he was asleep.
okay, so if you're going to tell the truth, let's tell the truth all the way, okay?
Okay,
Was he awake when you hit him? Yes or no? Okay.
I mean, I was running home. The dog started barking, and I knew where I was. I just snapped because I didn't want to have to deal with him. It was after like the second swing, he was like, "What the f?" And then
Was he ever able to get up off the couch, or did?
no,
And be honest with us. Don't try to minimize things. How many times do you think you hit him?
I think I hit him about 6 times.
6 times?
Yeah, 5 or 6 times.
And were all those hits? Where did you swing and hit him at?
Like his chest and his head.
Ultimately, did he stop talking, stop moving? When did you turn the light on?
Like I stood there for a little bit. I don't know. It seemed like hours. And I was just like, what am I gonna do?
We were at my mom's house. I told him to come inside. He wouldn't listen to me. So he went outside, and because my mom's in a wheelchair, I pushed my mom down the driveway, and my mom fell back and cracked her head open.
I know this might be tough, Gavin, but it's important to know. You stand right there for me. Right there. Stand up for me. And tell me that first time you swung the bat, tell me exactly how you swung the bat the first time.
The investigator gets Gavin to reenact the actual murder, which helps both verify the confession and to show his actions match the evidence. This makes a false confession claim harder to get around.
His couch is like right here.
Okay.
His head's right here. I'm standing right here, a little bit at an angle. And I went over the shoulder the first time, and then I started going up above my head.
And the first time you swung it, it was over the shoulder? And all the rest of the times you hit him, did you come up over the top?
Yeah.
You work at Del Taco, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you take some gloves from work?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was wearing gloves, yeah.
Are they light blue gloves, latex
Yeah.
gloves? And where did you put those on before you went out in the front room?
I had those on the entire time because I didn't want to. I mean, I was originally just planning on going in and out and trying to leave no fingerprints or anything. So.
And these are the clothes that you were wearing. This that you have on.
No.
Where are the clothes?
I went home and I washed them.
Okay.
Are they in the washer?
Yeah.
Is that over an Almond?
No, that was over at Bobby's.
And I have a note here, but who's Bobby?
Bobby Jackson is my best friend, and I'm his best friend. Been that way since like 6th grade, and Gavin kind of ended up joining us in that.
Kyle shared that he, Bobby, and Gavin were close, but no one else who he interviewed mentioned that this trio existed. Gavin embodied multiple personas. He didn't belong to any one group, and those he regularly spent time with seemed unaware of others he regularly spent time with. Interestingly, Kyle and Bobby in one location and Jacob in another claimed that Gavin was living with them at the time of the murder.
We were close. He was actually living with me and another guy and his mother when this all happened.
Gavin's friend Christopher Snow had also...
Эй, земляк, мы стрелять не знаем. Служивый! Это наша точка! Это что за хрень?
Fuck, I didn't pay attention to my axles. I didn't realize it was this way. I hate this fucking map. It's so fucking cluttered and just bushy with like barbed wire everywhere. I just never liked it.
Живем, пацаны.
For fuck's sake. Oh, see the fucking guys.
Вон, сука! Вон он, упырь!
Reported that Gavin was his roommate at the time. Christopher spoke to the press the day after the murder, explaining he was shocked, disbelieving that Gavin and Ellen were at odds with her father. The person who disagreed most with their relationship, according to Christopher, was Ellen's mother.
Does anybody know that you did this besides you and Ellie and RJ? Did you tell anybody else?
No.
Gavin may not have told anyone that he followed through with Aaron's murder, but he certainly talked about wanting to kill him. No one we or the police spoke with commented that they'd suspected he would go through with it, but many commented that he'd spoken of it. In fact, one individual commented that Gavin regularly told others that he could get away with killing someone.
Easy. I know all these things. I watch all these documentaries. Like really good. A game to him.
Interestingly, Gavin displays nonverbal behaviors which indicate feelings of insecurity and discomfort. For example, he hunches his shoulders and crosses his arms tightly over his chest, making himself smaller and more contained, essentially an upright, adapted version of the fetal position.
Before you leave the house, are you being 100% honest with me that Ellie was out in the car?
Because I'm a bit confused. Because when did she come back in and get the dog?
She came back in after I hit her dad.
Note that Gavin commented, hit her dad, not killed her dad. This is distancing language, or language that places psychological space between the topic under discussion and the speaker. Either Gavin doesn't register the murder, or he cannot stand the thought that he killed someone.
Why do you think he hit him?
To me, in my eyes, I felt like he was an enemy. Like he was out to hurt me.
Okay.
So.
What do you think happens when you hit someone in the head with an aluminum bat?
There's a lot of brain damage.
Do you think it could cause somebody to die?
Yeah.
This is to establish another element of first-degree murder, is that it must be committed with some sort of intent to kill the person. The murderer must therefore have attacked or harmed their victim with the purpose of ending their life.
Okay. Did you do anything to try to give him any kind of aid?
No.
And how does Ellie get in the house?
She just comes in through the front door.
Hold on. When she comes through the front door, what does she see?
She sees her dad laying on the couch.
What does she say?
She doesn't say anything. She just...
Did it shock her? tell her what you did?
No.
Was it obvious?
It was obvious,
This is to show that Ellen knew this was going to happen, and that she was a co-conspirator, so she can't later deny knowing Gavin was planning to kill him.
When Ellie comes in, is he making gurgling noises, or has he stopped making those noises?
He was still gurgling.
Gavin's body language is an extreme show of emotional distress. More genuine than the adapted version we witnessed previously, he is sitting in an upright fetal position, holding his knees to his chest. This is blatantly self-pacifying, indicating Gavin is far more affected by this than his vocal tone and straightforwardness suggest.
So she comes in, gets the dog. Does she go outside, or does she stay in the house with the dog?
She goes outside. RJ and I, we opened the trunk, and then we put him in there.
Okay, tell me about, let's back it up and walk through that slowly.
I'm sorry.
Individuals compress their lips under periods of great distress. Gavin's lips have disappeared.
And RJ came in to the front door, and RJ saw it. What did RJ say to you?
He was like, "Oh God, that's gross." And then I was like, "Okay, you grab him, his feet, and then we'll get him out to the trunk." And then we kind of drug it through the yard, and then we just like lift him up into the trunk.
So, you're in the house. Do you guys go back into the house after?
This is to establish a possible burglary charge. It also shows the callousness and lack of remorse after the fact for the crime.
Do you remember getting any money in the house?
Oh yeah, she went and took some money from her dad's wallet. Yeah.
How much cash did she get?
She said it was like $40.
Okay. From his wallet?
Yeah.
So he obviously didn't have his wallet on him.
Yeah.
Ellen can argue that she planned this to protect her sisters, and she can argue that he abused her, but few words, if any, explain why she would possess any moral justification to steal from her recently murdered father.
What was he wearing on the couch when you turned the light on?
He was wearing a black Raider shirt and a pair of black shorts.
Okay. When did she first bring up that she wanted her dad dead?
Like after he slapped her. And
How long ago? How long ago was that?
Like, this was a week before she texted me about the...
This shows that this specific incident of abuse was not the motive for the murder, at least not for Ellen. A prosecutor might submit to a jury that the likely actual motive for the killing of her father was him not letting his minor daughter and Gavin date.
Okay. And then once, as that conversation developed, did you ever come to what are we going to do with him afterwards?
I mean, RJ was like trying to tell me, I have a friend, we can go up, leave the car there, he can tear the car apart, that way there's no car left.
I'm very, good at convincing people.
What did you go to Bobby's house?
Bobby's, I stopped by, I just, like swapped clothes and I left again, no one was awake.
So, and then you end up over on Almond Street. Okay.
Investigators later learned that Gavin had led them astray, hoping they would stop by Bobby's house so his friends would know that something had happened.
And run through us with what you were wearing at the time that you hit him with the bat.
I was wearing my gray hoodie.
Not that one?
It was a gray pullover hoodie.
Okay.
It wasn't this one, no.
Okay.
Like all my hoodies are
What was
gray.
on under the gray hoodie?
And then I had on, it was my Batman t-shirt, I think.
Okay.
I think I house, but I don't think there was anything on that.
And what pants were you wearing?
Well, I'm still wearing the same pants. I didn't change my pants. I changed my jacket.
So you were wearing those pants?
Yeah.
And what shoes were you wearing?
Those are my boots.
The ones you have on now?
Yeah.
Or the ones, I don't think you're wearing them now, right?
They took them off, yeah.
Okay. What do you do when you get to the location where you guys dump Aaron?
We kind of sit there and we're like, it was peaceful and it was relaxing.
Gavin discusses how it was peaceful and relaxing looking at the woods and lake while sitting in the car with Aaron's dead body in the trunk. This shows a serious lack of remorse.
When you get there, though, what do you guys do?
So we kind of sat and we kind of enjoyed the view because it was nice out.
Gavin goes off on a tangent, displaying a symptom characteristic to his attention deficit hyperactivity disorder diagnosis: lack of focus.
And then we're like, okay, let's get this done before anyone drives by or anything.
How did you get him out of the trunk? By himself or with the blanket?
I kind of just went up and grabbed him by underneath the shoulders and lifted him. So, and then RJ kind of like picked up his legs. It was the blanket pillow and all, and then we just like when it was rolling down the hill, the tarp wrapped itself up around. I kind of tried to wrap him up a little bit, like cover up his feet.
The investigators keep a cool head while Gavin describes throwing Aaron's body off the embankment, along with some trash.
Is there still any blood in the trunk?
I don't know. I think there's still some on the outside because he was kind of leaking everywhere.
Okay. And then where do you guys go from there?
And then we're like, okay, which way to Walmart? And that's when we went to Walmart.
Where does RJ stay?
He just stays outside and smokes.
And where did he get those cigarettes?
Those were her dad's.
Remember what kind of cigarettes they were?
They were Camel 99s.
Okay. Ultimately, you and Ellie go in, you buy some junk food. Did she buy a pregnancy test?
Yeah.
And you guys come out of Walmart.
And we both inside, like, Ellie and I went upstairs because she had used the restroom. And she also was she was going to check out the hair dye, so I gave her the hair dye. She went to the bathroom. She came back out, was like, this is the wrong stuff, we need to return it. We went back to Walmart, and we got the refund of $9.77, the refund. And then we go back out.
Picky about makeup and hair dye, sneaking out of a bedroom window to see a forbidden older boyfriend, and conspiracy to commit patricide. One of these things is not like the other. One of these things just doesn't belong.
You need something, bathroom water or something like that? Yeah. You want a soda or anything? Yeah. Okay. You want to do it?
I don't understand why you guys are being so nice.
Okay. We'll be right back. We'll be right back.
Gavin is offered a drink, and he states how nice the police are being to him, showing that the read tactic they have employed has worked well, and they're seen as allies to him. It proves difficult to determine whether Gavin is experiencing true remorse over what he's done, or regret over the repercussions, or both. Whatever the case, Gavin's emotionality indicates that he didn't go about this entirely in control and intelligently. Up to this point, we can reasonably speculate that Gavin displays aggressive tendencies, violent behavior, and impulsivity. There's more to this story, but we'll cover that later. Gavin had displayed concerning behavior throughout childhood into adulthood, so much so that he was considered a possible threat to others at South Medford High School.
People talk about schools having like a list of kids who are potential threats. I'd say he was like the poster child for that person at our school. It was like an understood thing, you know, about Gavin as kind of a person that he was. Kind of a scary person, not someone you would think to mess with.
Yeah, it just kind of gave me like an off vibe sometimes. You know, everyone jokes around like, okay, if we had a school shooter, it'd probably be him.
Anything concerning with Gavin? Yes, we did a threat assessment, a threat to others assessment. I can't remember when he grabbed a student's and was inappropriate on a few occasions. We also, I believe, did a risk to self assessment on him at least once, like that he'd said he was going to kill himself.
Yeah, something split in his head, man. Something he cracked. Like I said, it's like she did help kill her dad, but like I swear to God, you know, she was crazy. From what I heard, you know, she did some crazy shit, but I don't think she would have killed her dad.
All right. How you doing?
Barely awake.
You are? I'll tell you, if I was at a police department, I would be wide awake.
Detective Smith is consistently direct with Ellen. She implies here that Ellen should be more alert, despite Ellen being sleep-deprived because of the circumstances. This seems rather counterintuitive, considering that Ellen is already displaying high levels of resistance, which interrogators typically counter with empathy and kindness.
We talk to everybody that is involved, and then... Okay? Okay.
I've been under the weather lately.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
Ellen makes poor attempts at eliciting sympathy in whatever way she can throughout the interrogation, but the investigator pays little mind, often implying that Ellen is, for lack of a better word,
А вот тут друган мой бывал точно. Прямо верти! Хуйло! Вот хуйло! Конец тебе! Давай, давай, давай! Ну и что тут за хуйня? Вали хуесоса!
Failed that quest by accident. That sucks. All good though. Wait. I thought the quest was supposed to give me something else. Supposed to give me this. Oh, I'll be able to purchase it. Okay. How much is it? That's the question. 400K. Holy fuck, dude. It's expensive. What other stupid quests can I do? That's like armbands and shit. It doesn't unlock anything. None of these really unlock shit. I mean, this has some reward, but that's factor. I'm not doing that. I'm good. This isn't worth it. Not worth it. Oh, these are the handbooks. This might be worth going to do. 15K. Obtain the closed design handbooks. Okay. Okay. Let's do that.
Dramatic. This is markedly histrionic behavior. Histrionic essentially means melodramatic. In the mental health world, histrionic behavior is heavily and unsurprisingly present in histrionic personality disorder. It can be a symptom of a variety of other disorders as well, but generally refers to maladaptive, attention-seeking, and exaggerated behavior.
And then we talk and try to like hammer out and figure out who's saying what's going on, and try to really get the real story from everybody, okay? Is it okay if I keep talking to you kind of about what we've learned? Mm-hmm. Okay, and then if you feel like letting me know stuff, you can do that. Does that sound fair?
Yes.
Okay. So, this morning when the police were called to your house, it was because your sisters actually saw you and Gavin and somebody else in there, a couple other people in there leaving. Then they saw a lot of blood in the house, okay? So then what they did was call Michelle. You know Michelle?
No, I don't know Michelle.
I'm pretty sure that's her name. Your dad's girlfriend who was over at the house last night?
Oh, Mickey.
Mickey, thank you.
Her name's Mickey.
Okay, thanks for helping me out. They called Mickey and then ran to your mom's house, and so everybody is really concerned and worried about you and your dad, because we actually don't know where your dad is right now.
That's really disturbing to hear.
I agree.
Consistent with previous displays, this behavior is more than awkward. It's uncomfortable, what some might call cringy to watch. We can tell she's attempting to muster up and replicate something resembling shock, panic, or concern, but she falls considerably short of the mark. Nonverbal experts might determine she is being disingenuous from reading her robotic arm movements, chiral facial expression, or incongruent verbal and nonverbal communication.
These stupid handbooks. think this guy's in the mall. Like, in the mall. Which actually gives me the chance to just fucking bugger this with him while he's busy doing that kind of shit. Bookstore, man. Oh, this stupid fucking mission, dude. I forgot about this shit. How am I supposed to grab it if I can't grab it? This is so dumb. Come on, dude. I can't grab it. I can't fucking grab it. How am I supposed to grab it? I think I've seen me.
Сдохни, тварь! А ты петуха! А ты шалава! Вот тупырь!
God, give me this goddamn book, please. It's so fucking annoying, dude. This is why this game is so good, huh? Give me the fucking book. This is great.
Сука, ёбнули насыво!
I will do. I'm at 2 now. Wait, I know. Dropping all his helmets in different places and shit. Alright, I gotta go upstairs. And then I gotta backtrack all the way back over. I gotta take a right here, run all the way past and go to the next corner. I gotta go around the whole fucking intersection now.
Да ладно, ты! Хуелоты, блядь, а ты хуелоты, конец тебе, блядь!
I think it's way over here. There we go. There's no fucking shelf again. I don't understand how are you supposed to find these fucking I see. It's this one. Machine's kind of annoying. bright. It's so bright that someone probably shoot at him. Gotta be a scav player at this point. Did not mean to throw that.
Even her word choice comes off as suspicious. Imagine being detained, sitting across the table from an investigator in an interrogation room, and learning that your father is missing and there is blood everywhere in your living room. Would your response be a robotic? That is very disturbing to hear. This is more so an explanation of an emotion, not an expression, which is why we easily sense that something is off. The investigator directly challenges Ellen with step 1 of the Reed interrogation technique discussed earlier, positive confrontation. She lays all the evidence law enforcement has indicating Ellen's involvement up to this point. We also can tell from this moment and from points earlier in the interrogation that Detective Smith is attempting to set up a theme that involves Ellen's sisters. Similar to Gavin's moral justification for committing the crime, Ellen's might be that she was trying to protect her two younger sisters.
I absolutely agree, and your sisters are a little bit disturbed by that as well. Because they're scared that they saw you leaving. They're scared there's blood in your house, and they're scared that nobody knows where your dad is. So they're awfully little to have those kinds of worries.
Maybe he was looking for me.
So where did all the blood come from in your house?
I don't know.
Okay. Mickey knows that you were there, Sierra was there, Olivia was there, your dad was there. So it would be nice if we could get some of this figured out. And like I said,
Detective Smith makes a skillful confrontation about figuring out what's going on, without making a direct contradiction to Ellen, who begins to gesture and move without purpose. For instance, she momentarily glances at her nails here. These meaningless gestures and movements grow to be progressively more pronounced. Meaningless movement, otherwise known as fidgeting, is a widely known nonverbal indicator of nervousness. Pay attention to the topic of conversation during times when Ellen fidgets the most.
so, somebody else is talking to Gavin, somebody else is talking to Mike. Oh, got a little owie there? Okay. So, it would be nice if we could get on the same page now, okay?
Stephanie and Bailey right now, and I barely have any recollection of what happened yesterday or within the 24 hours.
Do you need coffee?
I hate coffee.
Okay.
I try to stay away from caffeine and other chemicals.
And you don't eat meat. Is there anything we can get you, from a fast food restaurant that would...
No, thank you.
Okay.
In all honesty, I don't feel like I deserve that.
You don't deserve food? No.
Finally, Ellen expresses something resembling guilt. At least that is what it seemed like before she said,
I don't feel like I deserve any of my basic human rights.
Oh.
Especially when it comes to my father.
Okay, help me understand that.
He shamed me for the way that I eat for you.
Okay. Like in what way?
Shamed me.
Well, you don't eat meat. Do they comment about that?
My dad ridicules me for that.
Okay. Well, that doesn't have anything to do with you being hungry and us wanting to go out and grab you something if you want something.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the offer.
Well, you bet. Yeah.
Some may feel bad for Ellen, but keep in mind what she was recently part of. It could be that her father ridiculing her over food was only one piece to the puzzle that set her off. But fixating on this detail in this moment, going so far as to share it with Detective Smith, indicates egocentrism, which involves interpreting life as though it exclusively revolves around the self, and maladaptive self-pity. There could be a persecution complex here. If Ellen holds a persecution complex, she possesses a persistent belief that others have malintent toward her. It's hard to determine whether there's mental illness involved at this point. She could be playing the sympathy card.
Tell me about Gavin being at the house this morning.
He was walking with me when we were there, so if he was there, then he was there.
Okay. And what were you guys doing there?
Probably I don't know. I'm half asleep.
Again, I am absolutely not trying to sound rude, but some things I just kind of have to lay out, okay?
I understand.
Are you an AP student?
Yes.
You take AP classes? In those classes, and I know that. Okay, so so for you to sit here and tell me how tired you are and you can't remember, I feel like it's super hard to talk about.
Detective Smith is narrowing the ability for Ellen to be evasive.
We are all trying to piece together what happened because we're very worried about your dad. And I get that it doesn't sound like you was the best dad.
Of course I'm going to be worried about him. He might have abused me for most of my life, but he's still my father.
Ellen uses every opportunity to sneak in a comment about how her father was abusive. Again, we re-arrive at the idea that Ellen is not fully aware or functional during this interrogation, only because she is so poorly lying and concealing her negative feelings toward her father, which would, as Ellen might logically reason, add to motive. She's reportedly intellectually gifted. It raises a question as to whether Ellen is attempting to pull off shock, or whether she's a 15-year-old struggling to comprehend how to get out of a bad situation.
So one of the things that has also happened is South Medford High School has a school resource officer, and apparently you're still a student there. And you had like a band thing this weekend, and your dad came and picked you up from the school at like 3 in the morning?
Ellen coughs nearly every time she takes a drink and looks up to Detective Smith to see her reaction. This is histrionic, dramatic, and pity-seeking behavior. But it also occurs each time the conversation becomes more heated. Note that Detective Smith is quite direct in her confrontation in this moment.
Are you going to choke on your water? It worries me.
My throat's burning right now.
Okay. Well, you're welcome to drink the water, but if it's going to hurt, maybe give it a little break. Does that sound okay? Anyway, have you met Officer Jackson? He's a school resource officer at South?
No.
Okay. So Officer Jackson says you are a current student there. Why would Officer Jackson say that? I think because you're a current student there, and you're kind of pulling my leg a little bit.
No.
And that you're in band.
I do know about a lot of underage people having it, though.
Okay. Well, that's probably a dime a dozen these days.
Ellen makes an additional attempt to divert attention away from her wrongdoing onto someone else's wrongdoing. This is otherwise known as deflection, and it's Ellen's favorite type of defense mechanism.
I've had temporary amnesia in the past. There was a couple of instances where I have passed out and lost my vision and my memory.
Okay.
And it was when I had a throat stone.
Do you have a throat stone right now?
No. That was a while ago.
Okay. So when you have this temporary amnesia, who takes you to the doctor?
I don't really talk to anybody or reach out.
You would certainly tell your mom or your dad if you have temporary amnesia.
I feel like I can't really go to them for anything. I feel like I'm a bother.
Where's your dad?
I don't know.
If you needed to get a hold of your dad right this second, what would you do?
I'll call his cell phone.
What's his career, or what does he know how to do?
Sometimes he does, like, yard work or something.
What was the last job he did?
Like I said, a roofing job or something.
Oh, the roofing job? You said for a neighbor?
Yeah.
Okay. Did he get paid for that?
I believe so.
How much money did he get for that?
I don't know, Stephanie.
Okay. Okay. You know, I'm just trying to figure out what happened. That's all.
I'm trying to piece together everything right now.
Well, so far you've told me you're 18 and your name is Rain. And I'm here to tell you, you're 15 and your name is Ellie. Okay, maybe you go by Rain. Do you go by Rain?
Yes.
Okay.
Rain and Rose.
So your friend would know you as that. Like Russell goes by Mike? Okay.
Note that while Ellen has allowed Detective Smith to state that her name is Ellie and she's 15, Ellen has not accepted blame or outright acknowledged that she was lying. Ellen's lies surrounding her identity could indicate that dissociation is present. Ellen would be in a state of dissociation in this moment if she's protecting herself by psychologically separating herself from something. In this case, her identity. Separating oneself from one's identity is a form of dissociation termed depersonalization. For example, she wants to be someone else who did not conspire to kill her father and potentially go through traumatic abuse.
Rose. I'm so out of it right now. I haven't taken any drugs.
Okay.
You can test me for anything you'd like.
Rumor was that Ellen began to dabble with THC and nicotine once she reached high school, following the occurrence of a specific taboo incident.
Literally, her and some kid, like, on the bus, got, like, in trouble for it. After that, she, like, started, like, smoking and, like, doing bad things.
Based on accounts of others, evidence is mounting that Ellen's problem behavior emerged around 14 or 15. 50% of all mental illnesses begin by the age of 14.
I've told you, Sierra saw you at the house with Gavin this morning. Olivia saw you at the house this morning with Gavin and a couple other people. Sparklebeak is somewhere I don't know. that you took Sparklebeak this morning from your sister. So, I mean, that's just like what I'm coming up with off the top of my head as things that I have told you that should be perking you up and waking you up and like, oh my goodness, I'm sitting at the police department. I've just heard all of these facts. I've talked to a lot of people about difficult stuff, and the things you're doing right now are not unusual for people to do when they don't want to talk about something, or it's hard for them to talk about something. Okay, I don't want you to.
This is phlegm.
Oh, it's phlegm. Okay. I don't want to take your water away, because if you want it, you need it.
Mhm.
But you also keep worrying me about every time you drink it.
It's all back in my throat now.
Okay, you're good then? Okay. All right. What was Gavin doing at your house?
Walking around.
Okay. Doing what, though?
Walking around.
So what was Gavin doing in there then?
If he was there, then and my dad let him in, I wouldn't have let him in without talking to my dad.
Well, you were there too, because you were packing up.
Packing up.
Yeah. We need to get past this tough stuff to talk about.
In reference to tough stuff to talk about, this is a passive confrontation made in an effort to appear sympathetic and understanding.
Saying I don't remember, saying I'm tired, saying any of that is a cop-out.
So the truth is a cop-out.
So what's the truth?
I don't remember. I'm so out of it.
What do you think Gavin and Mike are saying?
I don't know.
You want to see a magic trick? Hocus pocus.
Okay.
I have no idea.
This is an obvious ploy to play the prisoner's dilemma. Law enforcement regularly utilizes the prisoner's dilemma to coerce drug dealers into ratting each other out. Technically, it occurs when two parties each make self-beneficial decisions, which result in a less than ideal outcome for both.
Do you think they're being honest?
Yeah, I've known them to be honest people. I know that Gavin knows the police force here.
Who's Mike?
One of Gavin's and mine friends.
Okay.
More Gavin's, but...
Detective Smith has made a sliver of progress. She's gotten a small foot in the door. The foot in the door technique is used to counter resistance in interrogations. Ellen has acknowledged that the two other detained individuals are in fact Gavin and Russell, and that she does in fact know who they are. This may seem like a small victory, but by way of the foot in the door technique, Detective Smith has greatly increased the chances of Ellen providing more important information.
And that was actually the older boyfriend.
We were friends with benefits, but never really a relationship.
Okay. And did your dad approve of that relationship?
I didn't really tell him about it, but he saw us holding hands and he freaked out.
Mm-hmm. It's just dawning on me, and I'm going to point this out to you, that you have a pretty good memory of all of that stuff, but you can't tell me what happened
Of my past?
10 hours ago, not even 10 hours ago.
My past is ingrained in me.
Okay.
Because of how much pain it's brought me.
Mm-hmm. You know what happened 7 hours ago.
Do I?
Yeah. Like I said, it's been a long time since I've seen a parent act the way your mom was acting this morning. She was literally on the ground, sobbing. On her knees with her head buried into the ground, sobbing. She's worried about you. She's worried about Aaron.
I'm worried about my dad, too. From what you've said, there's blood at the house and he's gone?
Yes. I feel like that probably doesn't come as a complete shock to you.
I'm very good at hiding my emotions. I have to be strong for my little sisters.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot at this point you owe your little sisters. What if your dad can still be helped?
Then let's find him.
Detective Smith is gauging Ellen's response.
Well, you got a band thing up in Salem?
PCI.
What's that?
Pacific Coast Invitational.
What instrument do you play?
It's like front percussion. I don't even know the name of the instrument I play.
Do you play cymbals?
No.
Do you play a triangle?
No.
Detective Smith is warming Ellen up, encouraging encouraging her to talk about something she knows Ellen enjoys, music. Most of those we spoke with who knew Ellen knew her through band.
She was just kind of, you know, an average band student. I think she played the clarinet and bass clarinet. She did band camp, so she did marching band. I would say that's like where the majority of her friends were kind of located. She was one of the kids who like hung out, you know, in the area during lunch and stuff. So she was, you know, just a regular band kid.
You gonna take a little sleep?
I'm really tired.
Okay. All right.
Ellen puts her head down as if to go to sleep, passively ending the conversation at this point. A very common tactic employed when a suspect is not getting the information they want from the investigators. Since she cannot craft her story to fit the facts, she attempts to stop talking.
Excuse me? I get some nausea medication.
Some nausea medication? You know, there's a garbage can right there, okay?
No.
I'm gonna see, I know we have like Tylenol, Advil.
Ellen then asks for a place to lay down. Detective Smith leaves. Afterwards, Ellen continues picking at her skin and her nose, and appears to place her fingers in her mouth. Consider the meaning behind Ellen's non-purposeful gestures in these moments. Although Ellen appears guiltless at times, her physical ailments may be legitimate somatic manifestations of her guilty conscience.
Okay. I found blankets. Is that fine?
She knocks on the door. An officer comes by and Ellen asks for the restroom.
I'll have to get a few minutes for you. 1 second, okay? All right.
The officer then leaves. She's avoiding her surroundings any way she can. Sleep, leaving the room asking for nausea meds, which will likely make her tired and sleep. This is a common avoidance triad often used by suspects.
Hi. Do you need to use the restroom? Yes. Okay, come on.
Ellen is getting bored. This is a common tactic we see, where a suspect is left alone in an interrogation room and they become bored and anxious. The goal is to convince them that talking will get them out of there sooner, leading to a sort of reprieve, both physical and psychological. Detective Smith returns. She brings paper and crayons. While this is seemingly infantile for a 15-year-old girl of allegedly sound mind, it could be her drawings will be examined for indicators of evidence, state of mind, or other information. They may also serve to relax her and ease her anxiety, making her somewhat more likely to talk, though ultimately still be bored with such simplistic items when questioning resumes.
Hi. A mermaid?
Not very well.
Well, I know what it is. And a pretty treat. Okay.
Detective Smith reminds Ellen of her rights. This is common whenever there's been a break in questioning.
So, I know Gavin was at the place at your house this morning. I know your dad saw him. I know Mike was standing outside of your house. I know you guys went down to Gavin's house on Almond. I know that you moved the car around. Okay? I want you to know that we know what's going on. And the bottom line in all of this is, why did all of this happen today?
She's searching for corroboration.
I'm sorry, can I get some more water?
Yeah, you can. But you haven't been doing this stuff with your throat since I've left. I mean, playtime's a little bit over. So why did this happen today?
In response to Detective Smith's question about why did this happen today,
Why today?
Ellen asks if she means her plans to run away.
Why did I try to run away?
But Detective Smith quickly closes down this denial by stating,
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
this is an indirect confrontation, purposefully left vague to encourage the suspect to speak of the crime in their own words.
Why was Gavin at your house? Why was Mike standing outside your house, or Russell, or whatever you call him? Why did you guys go down there? Why did you guys end up out on Highway 140? Well, I actually know the answer to that. We're not playing anymore. We have the facts.
Detective Smith insists that they have the facts. They have stories and statements, but they don't have facts. This is common misdirection, and at this point the questioning will get more direct and targeted. Detective Smith is done playing games, and Ellen knows it.
Can we start from the beginning of your side now? We have other sides. What I don't have is your side, because you've been messing with me all morning. Can we have your side?
Yeah.
Tell me your side.
Where should I start?
Have you been taking clothes out of your house?
Yes.
Okay. Right there.
Well, my situation with my father abusing me had gotten worse, so I was looking for a way out. So I started a plan to run away. So I started transporting all of my clothes to Gavin's house.
Note as Ellen talks, she also keeps scribbling with the crayons. She's splitting her attention to avoid the interrogation as much as possible.
All of that blood that your sisters walked in on is your dad's blood. What is
Russell
going on?
attacked my father.
Ellen states, Russell attacked my father, and his bloody machete is over by the northern Walmart. This signifies a major shift in her psychological stance towards both Detective Smith and the interrogation.
So tell me everything you saw that happened to your dad.
I didn't see anything. Like I said, I was in the back room, and when I heard the whole thing going on, I jumped out the window and I ran.
Okay.
There's something different about the way Ellen speaks here versus the way she's spoken previously. The cadence is off. She cuts herself short. She's lied consistently up to this point, but this moment seems significant. Perhaps the outcome of the conversation is more salient to her at this point. Whatever the case, her speech deviates significantly from baseline, an indication of heightened physiological arousal.
Okay, I'm going to take notes so I can keep track of this, okay? How do you know Russell was with your father?
Because Gavin was with me, with my stuff. He was with my stuff.
How do you know Gavin was with your stuff?
Because I could see him through the back window.
How do you even know that a machete was involved prior to going out to that North Walmart area?
Because he had it on him. And then he pulled it out, and I saw the blood on it, and I realized what had happened.
And how were you guys getting around, like to Walmart or that kind of thing?
Russell got the keys and we took my dad's car.
This is another inconsistency in terms of the last time Ellen claimed to have been in the car, several days prior to the murder. Ellen continues to scribble with the crayons.
So, where did you meet up with whoever was in your car? Was in the car?
The alley.
Okay.
Gavin took me back, and I pulled it into the alley.
And what's the very next thing that happened?
Then Gavin and I go in to get the rest of my stuff, and Gavin has the car started, and Russell has a tarp hanging out of the back seat, or the back trunk.
Yeah.
And then...
Did you stop at Gavin's house first?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
We drop all of my stuff off, and then I was hungry. So
what about your dog?
We dropped the dog off there.
Okay, gotcha.
He's there now.
Okay. So you and Gavin go into Walmart, and then you said you go to the SSI building?
Yeah, that's what Mike wanted to do.
What did he want to do there?
I guess he wanted to make Gavin his rep payee.
Did you go back to Walmart?
Yes, I went back into Walmart to return something.
Oh, what did you return?
Hair oil.
Okay. Where was Mike during that?
Well, since he killed my dad, and I have suspicions that he was in the trunk, maybe he went to do something with the body.
Detective Smith pauses.
I mean, I've been a little bit, blunt with you during this process.
That's what I appreciate, blunt. I don't like people that beat around the bush.
This is a dissonant contrast to her previous behavior of playing an extensive game of cat and mouse.
Then I'm going to be blunt with you. The information I have is you knew your dad was in the trunk. My guess is it probably wasn't a great feeling to know that your dad was in the trunk. Am I right? Yeah. What were you saying to Mike and Gavin about your dad being in the trunk?
I was asking them about it, what's in the trunk with the tarp, and they're like, a body. I'm like, whose body? Why, is my dad in there? And then Russell says yes. I believe that Russell's the one that killed my father.
Okay. Was anybody wearing gloves today?
Russell was.
Okay. Were you?
At one point, yes. I think because Russell was the one that insisted that I put the gloves on.
And then what happened? You put the gloves on.
I put the gloves on, we go to Walmart.
So when we get the video footage from you in Walmart, we're going to see you in latex gloves walking around?
I didn't put them in my pocket, and yes.
Okay. Did you help with your dad out on
No.
140? That would have been hard too.
140?
Yeah. We have found your dad, and we know he is dead. And we know that you and Gavin were there when he was taken out of the trunk. That's just things we know, okay?
They did pull over somewhere. That must have been where it was.
Yeah.
And then Russell threw the body over.
How did that make you feel?
Whether a suspect expresses remorse or is perceived to express remorse, it may influence severity of sentencing. A defendant who confessed and appears remorseful is more likely to avoid the death penalty.
I felt really bad.
Uh-huh. What did you say about it?
I yelled. I blew my top off.
Mm-hmm. What did you yell?
A lot of things
Like
that I regret.
Tell me an example.
Knowledge of the crime now has been clearly established, and Detective Smith is working towards establishing elements of both the crime of murder and additional crimes, like conspiracy.
I hate using swear words, but I was so mad that I used just a bunch of swear words.
To who?
Mike.
More than not feeling, Ellen struggles to identify emotions that would fit this moment, stating that she was using a bunch of swear words when Gavin and Russell, or as Ellen tells it, just Russell, were throwing her father's body off the side of the embankment.
One of the things also out there by your dad is the baseball bat.
A baseball bat? Is that what he used? Because my dad kept a baseball bat by the front door for protection.
Okay.
As a reminder, compare Ellen's behavior throughout the interrogation to the behavior Detective Smith established at the beginning of the interrogation. This behavior is similar to what Ellen was expressing when Detective Smith collected Ellen's baseline. Her paralanguage and micro-expressions are similar.
Where is that baseball bat now?
Well, you said it was found, so he must have saw it and used it along with the machete. Because the machete did have blood on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was dried.
Okay. How do you know it was blood?
It was red.
Okay.
Like dark red, dried blood. I know what dried blood looks like. I'm a woman.
Okay. And tell me about what the baseball bat looked like.
It was dark. It was a black metal baseball bat.
Mm-hmm. The information we have is that you actually threw that baseball bat up into the tree.
What?
Mm-hmm.
But I was in the car.
Well, I'm a little bit thinking maybe you weren't in the car.
She is digging deeper into the extent of Ellen's participation in the crime. The whole time, she remains sympathetic and calm with Ellen.
I kicked it. I don't know if I kicked it. That's not that's fine.
Oh, wait, let me see. You have a line on your foot from kicking the baseball bat?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't know if you can tell.
Was he making any noise or anything?
No.
Could you tell if he was alive or if he was dead?
No. He was wrapped up. I saw his head covered in towels and he was in a blanket.
Okay. And how did his head get covered in towels?
I guess Mike or Gavin must have wrapped him. But Gavin seemed just as shocked that happened as I did.
Mm-hmm.
I think Mike took it too far and did that.
Okay. And where was he when you saw that?
They were pulling him out of the trunk.
And when you say they, you mean Gavin and Mike?
Yeah, Mike did most of it though.
Okay. But, I mean, he needed help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ellen states they were dumping the body, but stated previously that Russell did this on his own. She continues to struggle to keep track of her lies.
Like, what, do you know the names of roads?
Yeah.
You do? What roads were you on that you know the names of?
I know that we went on Hillcrest.
You know you went on Hillcrest?
That's all I can remember. I was just kind of sitting there freaking out, staring at the road.
Okay. Okay. So, however way you're on Hillcrest and then you get out to the road where your dad is taken out of the car?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Detective Smith employs a variety of active listening skills. Active listening encourages individuals to discuss difficult topics. Detective Smith additionally attempts to recreate the route taken to dump the body. This is another part of the narrative that will be important to the DA's case against the suspects. It will also help corroborate times and locations.
So Mike and Gavin were out. They tell you to get out.
Mhm.
They tell you to do something?
Mhm.
What?
Throw things over. Gavin handed me the baseball bat.
Somebody handed you a shirt?
Mhm. A pink shirt.
Was it pink because that was its normal color?
Yes.
Okay. Did it have blood on it?
If they must have thrown it out, then I guess so. It was all bunched up.
They felt like it was a problem, so they wanted to get rid of it?
Mhm.
Okay. And then what do you see next?
I see them, Mike particularly, push it down. Like, it goes, I saw it go over.
Did you see your dad's face?
No.
While this seems an odd question, it goes to knowledge of the circumstances and would confirm whether any or all suspects disposed of the body, or if they only disposed of other items at that time.
But then they drive away, and then Mike gave Gavin directions as to where to leave the car. I don't remember where. Somewhere hilly.
Ellen fiddles with a wristband, another meaningless action and indication of physiological arousal of some sort.
And so then what happens?
Well, I got my speaker back from a friend.
Who was that person?
Yes.
Did you guys tell Jeff anything about what had been happening?
No.
Law enforcement stopped by Jeff's house and discussed exactly what had happened.
I asked how they were doing. They said they were doing fine, and they were smiling. Gave them the speaker, and I said, all right, well, I gotta get back inside. Gavin gave me a hug, and then they left.
And then we got detained.
So tell me about your relationship with your dad.
Well, he used to be a good father, but he started getting abusive about 3 years ago.
And you had told me about a time he called you mean names. Has that happened more than once?
It happens all the time, or did happen all the time. I don't know what brings it on. He just does it. I take all of the whatever happens.
How does he treat your sisters?
Like gold. He would get drunk, and wherever I was sleeping, he would come and he would lay naked with me, and he would.
Okay.
So I would leave and try to sleep somewhere else in the house.
When's the last time that happened?
A couple of days ago, Saturday, after I came back from my band trip.
Okay.
And then Nikki came in and pulled him back into the room.
When she came out, would she have seen him laying on the couch?
She saw his head, but I think that's about it, because she just kind of poked her head around the corner and said, Aaron, come back into the room. He's like, oh, okay, crazy lady.
Has he ever?
Yes.
Okay.
It got on my hand, but then I went and I just started scrubbing and scrubbing and scrubbing because I felt so dirty.
When was that?
And so ashamed of myself. Like, right after I turned 15, like in the new year. I felt so ashamed of myself. So dirty. Why would he do that? Why would he do that to my daughter? Father shouldn't do that to my little girl. You're the first person I really told about this because it's so hard. It's hard. It's like breaking down because I just suppressed those memories. I never told my mom about it, and she's going to be angry when she finds out that I had it.
Well, what does Gavin think that your dad's doing?
He just thinks, he knows that he's been abusive towards me.
As far as the name calling and the grabbing
physical
you?
and the emotional abuse, but not. Would you call this abuse? I'm not sure.
Well, I think different people have different definitions, so that would certainly be up to you if you think that.
I'm not sure what to call it at this point.
Do you want me to find tissues for you?
I'll be fine. This jacket is waterproof.
Okay. I think we'll have somebody bring us in some tissues, okay? Because I know this is hard to talk about. I know.
Why me? Why did he do it to me? I have no idea what he's done to my sisters.
Because Ellen has been consistently dishonest, many of us may question whether her behavior is an outlandish form of deflection and diversion at this point. As this line of questioning progresses, Detective Smith hears about possible motives, but again, it's unclear that any of Ellen's claims are true.
He had said this girl was being abused, possibly by her dad. The other thing that he had said is that she had a boyfriend that the dad did not approve of. So that's also why we're kind of like, is she really being abused, or does she just really, she just wants to date who she wants to date?
I just want to know why you did it. Why you thought it was okay. Because there was a few times when he was sober and I just don't know.
You can be upset.
I'm having a breakdown and I'm really sorry.
You what?
I'm really sorry.
It's okay. I mean, are you sorry you're crying?
My dad would hit me when I cried.
She is clearly distraught here. Recall Gavin's less blatant self-hugging nonverbal in his interrogation.
Plan is to get her bags and get her the hell out of there.
Believe it. This seemingly insignificant posture is a prominent tell that individuals are emotionally distressed in some way. A new nonverbal indicator, even more telling if interpreted with Ellen's pacifying self-hug, is that Ellen is raising both shoulders high up to either side of her ears. This is also known as the turtle effect. Turtles recede into their shells to protect themselves against threat, and we can imagine that if Ellen had a shell, she would be tucking her head into it right now.
So much tears.
Well, I'm just gonna give you a minute, okay? I'll only be gone for a second. I'll be gone long enough for me to find you a tissue, okay?
Ellen appears to be experiencing genuine surges of emotion well after Detective Smith has exited the room. She alternates rapidly between highly distraught to neutral expressions. Recall Jillian's statement about Ellen's rapidly shifting moods, which we discussed more accurately resembled rapidly shifting emotions. We could infer from Ellen's expressions in this moment that she's struggling to regulate her emotions. This isn't to say that it's not reasonable for Ellen to be distraught over the alleged abuse, but rather that her specific way of responding hints at potential abnormal emotion regulation and possible psychopathology.
She's just kind of filling us in, and she's going to come back and chat with you. Okay? All right. It's going to be really important that you're truthful about everything at this point. I want to help get through this, okay? All right. So she'll be back in just a minute.
Okay.
The officer encourages Ellen to be truthful about everything. Common thing to say, to play as if the truth is liberating and will help the suspect. It rarely helps them, though.
You are an artist. It sounds like there's been some talk about your dad and the way he treats you and like what to do about that and how to fix that. Do you know anything about those conversations?
This is the overture to establishing premeditation. Discussing conversations also sets up the stage for charges of conspiracy to commit murder.
There's not any that I was involved in that I know about.
It sounds like at least something had been planned.
I think Mike might have planned something, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I heard a knock on the door. And Mike was the only one in the yard at that point. And then I heard the door open. And I guess, I don't know, maybe he tackled my dad since all of the blood was on the couch. The majority of it. At least from what I saw. I don't know.
I feel like you're putting a lot on Mike.
Ellen spends a large portion of her interrogation blaming Russell, and Russell spends a large portion of his interrogation demanding her release. It's a tragic contrast.
3. All charges are to be dropped, and every recording due to that is to be destroyed.
Russell seems completely detached from reality, relishing in his perceived position of power by the demands he makes.
I know cops are really good at that. Oh, I misplaced that file. Oh, I know your sick, twisted games, boy. 2 hours. Because I know Gavin has been put in a different holding cell in a different building. Release him, bring him here without handcuffs. You guys can hold on to the goods. I really don't give a So, we can do this the nice way and we negotiate, or we can do it the hard way and I can release my bipolar.
I even know how to beat the legal system with its own laws, too. Never trick me, buddy.
What are you diagnosed with?
Autism, bipolar, definitely don't get me mad. 90% of the time I'm cool.
Okay.
Unless you give me reason to hit you, then I hit you.
Which actually, you don't really want that.
He seems to grow increasingly frustrated when none of these tactics gain traction. So he next tries setting a time limit to which they must comply, and arrogantly turns off the recording, gesturing to it as if it's some sort of standoff that the police are actually contemplating.
Clock's ticking. Gavin, Ellie, there. Or I say no more. Punk.
These are nonverbal signs of aggression and dominance.
Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. And on that farm he had some bacon.
Russell begins to more directly mock law enforcement, showing clear signs of lack of respect for authority. He's joking, but there are highly negative undertones to what he relates.
With a grease there and a grease there, everywhere grease all over the road. Whee! All the way home. 5 little piggies eating at the trough. Wait, no, wrong one. 3 little monkeys jumping on the bed. Wait, no. Hey, you guys want to hear another cop joke? 3 little pigs fell in the mud. That's a dirty joke. You want to hear a clean joke? You didn't scrub hard enough.
His behavior grows progressively confrontational, and his demeanor is far less lighthearted.
Oh boy, that's not good. I should really have a talk with my bipolar side.
No, you shouldn't.
Yes, I should.
Some may argue that Russell is unknowingly working against the potentially damaging effects of the isolation aspect of the Reed interrogation technique. Russell takes control of his situation, regardless of whether it's founded in reality, likely reducing his feelings of boredom, thereby contributing to reduced emotional or psychological distress.
Please send Gavin and Ellie Fryer into this room, please. Thank you. Asking nicely.
He might be under a delusion, but Russell's behavior is still notably histrionic, similar to what we see throughout Ellen's interrogation. He puts on a variety of melodramatic displays.
Scissors and pocket knives are nowhere on me. But my teeth are very sharp as well. I just found the wire that goes into the wall. And I'd really hate to get hurt by a cop. Or is it the other way around? I forget.
The police continue to let him speak, giving him all the rope he needs to hang himself further.
Who cares anyway? I just saw Gavin go by. Here's the thing. You passed the door. Bring him back. Please. Thank you.
Individuals exposed to violence often display violent tendencies that develop as defense mechanisms. Here, it's almost as if Russell is putting up fists preparing to fight with his past, the one which reportedly included a significant amount of violence.
So one thing that we just kind of run through and I'll let Jim take over is you want to to have a cigarette. We went outside. Gave you a cigarette.
Yep.
I advised you of your Miranda rights. You remember that?
Yeah.
Said you understood your rights.
The investigator wants it on record that he allowed Russell to smoke a cigarette and that he advised Russell of his Miranda rights
Twice.
The investigator begins to quickly recap his previous testimony and what they did on the crime scene visit so he doesn't have an opportunity to retract his prior statements of guilt.
This room's recorded. It's got a mic.
And you turned it off earlier.
Well, I turned it off and on several times.
You really told us that last night is when you and Gavin walked over to Ellie's house.
Yep.
And that you met her at Union Park?
Yeah.
Okay, is what you told us.
Yeah.
Is that still true?
No.
Okay.
We could easily interpret Russell's behavior as psychopathic and that he doesn't display signs of remorse, even occasionally laughing. Based on information from sources and from what Russell has stated about himself, he more likely does not comprehend the true meaning and impact of what he's done.
So why don't we start from the beginning?
Okay.
And just give us you've been very cooperative and truthful. So
You're very intelligent.
Yeah.
Russell is more likely to respond by continuing to be truthful because he may wish to be perceived as intelligent.
That was part of his problem, is because he can hold an adult conversation and you think, wow, this kid's smart. But it's not because he knew what he was talking about, it's because he memorized what he had read.
So we headed over, we waited across the street, down the alley. We were waiting there till she texted saying that he's asleep. So I started wanting to head over, and right when I wanted to head over, she texted. So it's almost like she read my mind. So we headed over. Because we were going to go through.
We'll talk about he again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Went through her window. I followed shortly after. Kind of nervous about it, but hey, it's what I do for a living. We got all the bags loaded out, and she said that she's going to grab the keys and pull the car around. While Gavin, I say, talks to the guy, but that's far from.
There is widespread belief that individuals on the spectrum cannot distinguish between moral right and wrongness. Contrarily, individuals diagnosed with autism often possess an even greater conceptualization of right and wrong. In Russell's case, he seems to have an extreme idea of what is right in this situation, believing that what happened to Aaron was fully justifiable.
Did you ever come to the meeting?
No.
Okay.
No, I only went through the front door.
Afterwards?
Yeah, after the beating.
Okay.
Just as Gavin told investigators that he hit Aaron instead of killed.
After I hit that.
Russell tells investigators that he only entered the location after the beating versus after the killing or the murder. This, again, is distancing language, essentially psychological avoidance.
So earlier, at this point, what you told us was her dad came in with a gun and threatened him?
That part was not true.
Okay.
I just wanted to make it look like he was a good guy. And he is a good guy, trust me.
Who is?
Gavin.
So when you went in, what did you see?
Very scary face.
I think what you originally told us, that his body was still twitching when you got there?
Yeah, he was dead. Gavin checked his pulse and everything. It was still moving due to the gases and stuff and the chemical mixture within the body. I went through the front door, went straight to the bathroom.
Okay.
Because I was like,
Okay.
dead body.
What we're learning is something that Ellie has been wanting to happen for a while. And that the three of you guys have been having those conversations.
I was not in the planning of killing him.
What he says here contradicts his prior testimony, the evidence, and Gavin's testimony.
We've been talking about like moving her out several weeks, and then the big finale was make it look like he kidnapped her.
He calls the plan to make it look like a kidnapping, the grand finale, once again showing no remorse, almost as if this is a movie or a novel plot.
And put him in a car. Gavin would drive over state line to California. I was gonna do.
You guys are going to tie him in the front seat of a passenger car with him alive and drive him across California?
Yeah, that was my idea.
Okay.
Killing was not my idea at all.
Did you know going over last night,
That Gavin was going to kill him? No.
or assault him?
Well, probably assault, but I didn't expect him to actually kill him. Just like probably a few broken ribs or something.
I mean, is that something he talked about?
He talked about killing.
Russell was aware that murder was a possibility. Under the law, he would have already been guilty of felony murder, which is when, in the commission of a felony, like aggravated assault, i.e. assault with a weapon here, or burglary, if one defendant kills the victim during the commission of another felony, even if it wasn't planned, all defendants can be charged with the murder.
I tried to talk him out of killing him.
But when they talked about it, what did they propose to do?
Take him over state line, cut the brakes or whatever, make him go into a gas station.
All kinds of things got talked about?
Yeah, but I always popped holes in every system.
Did Ellie ever come out and say he's going to take a bat and do this tonight?
No, she just said that she...
Gavin says that she handed him the bat to
Yeah.
go do it.
Did you see that?
No, I did not.
What'd she tell you when she came out?
She said that she's going to go around the block, grab the car, give the signal, and Gavin would go take care of business.
So you knew when she had the car that Gavin's going to take care of business?
Well, I didn't know that he was going to kill him, but like, just, I thought take care of business as in, like, hurt the guy.
Russell contradicts himself by saying he thought take care of business meant just hurt the father, after he just finished telling the investigator all the ways he shot down the other various methods Gavin and Ellie suggested killing him.
So you have the Samsung phone?
Yes. The red and black.
The red and black one? And did we find that on you when we stopped
yes.
you? And is that passcoded?
Yes.
What's the passcode on that?
It's a pattern.
Can you draw the pattern for me? So if this is the top of the phone?
Should be easy.
Okay.
Because my new name is Mike Smith.
Oh, I can already see what it is. Do you recall how they talked about that they were going to kill him, when they wanted to kill him? Besides the big... Of all these pages that I wrote down, the majority of this sounds fairly accurate.
Yeah.
It's just the gun stuff wasn't accurate?
No.
Okay.
I just wanted to make it look more helpful on his end.
Consistent with the interrogation up to this point, Russell seems to be prouder that he could help than worried that he did.
You've told us several times throughout our conversation that you didn't cause the death.
No, I did not.
Do you think he was awake when he got hit?
Probably just falling asleep. All I heard was, like I said, the thuds and the moaning in pain.
One of Ellen's neighbors had also heard Aaron's moans, likening them to an animal dying. That same neighbor declined to interview, stating, "Hello, Abby. Thank you for asking so kindly, but I don't think I'd like to discuss it for your platform. It was a pretty traumatic experience for me personally, so I think I'll have to pass. Have a great day."
Any other stops after you left Aaron's house before you got to Almond Street?
He said he took his gray sweatshirt and put it in a washer over at a friend's house after you guys left, before you go to Almond. Do you remember that?
No, I was probably still terrified that there was a dead body in the trunk right behind me.
Okay.
Russell does not necessarily deserve credit, but take note that this is the first time any one of the individuals involved in this crime expressed discomfort with the fact that Aaron's body was in the trunk of the car while they ran errands.
One of the things that Ellie is telling another detective is that it actively got talked about as far as planned out, different things got talked about.
Yeah, we talked about it, but never really, I wasn't really going to do anything.